What's up everyone, my name is Zach, and in today's video I'm going to tell you guys about my reading plans for the rest of May and then all of June. So I decided I would get together a big stack of books and tell you guys about what I plan to read, and then also talk to you guys a little bit about like my hopes for reading. And I've done a lot of things recently that I've mentioned in other videos that have really helped my reading that I want to share with you guys in case it might help one of you as well. I made a lot of like reading / life changes that has really helped me a lot. So I'm going to share these books with you guys. I'm probably not going to go into a lot of what they're about except for what I know. If you guys have been on my channel before, you know that I don't do a lot of that. In the month of June, I will be doing like highlight videos. So like the highlights from April and May. So the books that I really loved, or books that like disappointed me. So that will be coming out sometime in June. Other sorts of like vlogs and things like that. So videos will be coming in June. These are the books that I'm going to be reading between now and the end of June. So some of these will be included in some of those videos. And I'm going to the beach starting tomorrow. I'm very excited, through the next Sunday. So there are reading plans for at the beach, though I will be pretty busy and I don't actually read a ton when I'm at the beach, but we'll talk about that in a second. Some of the things that I've done recently to kind of change my reading and change my reading habits, the biggest thing was I got rid of social media entirely. I didn't have a lot of social media before, so I never had TikTok, I never had Facebook, I never had Twitter, never had any of that. I never had a personal Instagram. All I had was Bookstagram, and I completely got rid of it. I was a little bit like, oh, well, maybe I'll come back, but I've been away from it for probably almost a month now, and because it's not on my phone, I also got rid of the news app on my phone. Because those two things are not on my phone, my Kindle books, like I'm just flying through them, because at points where I'm just sitting and waiting for something, or would scroll through Bookstagram or the news app, the only thing to do on my phone is read through a Kindle book. So I'm getting a lot more reading done that way, and I'm a lot happier. Social media was never really about comparing myself to other people, though I do think that happens naturally without us even realizing, but it was consuming a lot of my time of like, I could just scroll. And I like to know what other people are reading, so I could just scroll and look at other people's books. But it was taking up a lot of my time, and it was a natural just like go-to when I could be reading. I still have Goodreads. Something I did with Goodreads is I went through and cleared all of my want to read, and I only have my currently reading and then the books that I've already read. Now, I'm not going to keep it that way. I have been thinking about ways to bring back my want to read, but it had gotten out of control, and so had my Amazon wish list. And I just started to feel really overwhelmed about all the books that I could be reading and all the things that I was excited about. So I was like, I need to just cut these things down. The biggest thing that I did was just like take my world and make it smaller. So I would encourage you, if you're struggling at all with anything, or if you just want to, I don't know, cleanse some things, it is okay, and it does make things better. At least it did for me. And if it doesn't work for you, you can ease your way back into things. But I think just making your world a little bit smaller in an age where our worlds are so big virtually and in person, it has really helped me a lot. So I thought I would share that with you guys. Okay, so usually I do a TBR game. I'm not going to do that because there are a lot of books that I really want to get to. And so instead of trying to fit those into a TBR game, I thought that I would just show you guys those books and talk about my plans for reading and videos in the rest of May, which will be spent at the beach, so mostly in June. Plans for the beach. So I'm in a little bit of a, what do I do about this? I don't want to get any of my books wet, so that's something I've been thinking about. And then also, I don't want my Kindle to overheat. I will have my phone, so I might be able to read some on my phone, which is probably what I'll end up doing. But at night in the hotel, I could read a physical book, and then in the morning, I wake up much earlier than my family. Both my father-in-law do, and he also reads. So usually we will wake up early and kind of read together while everyone else sleeps. So I'll definitely have a book, either physical or on Kindle for that. Yeah. Just some weird reader thoughts. So let me share with you guys the books that I have picked out. Another reason that I did this is I'm not like, oh, I can only read from these books. I have so many books and I wanted to give myself a space to kind of narrow it down. I can always go off this list, but it was hard for me to narrow down what I wanted to read if I just went to all of my books and was like, well, what do I want to read next? So I have these sectioned off in categories. There's really only two categories right now, which is romance and fantasy. So if you only want to see one of those categories, I'm going to start with romance and then move into fantasy. You're welcome to skip along or whatever you want to do. The first one I have here is a book. Actually, I think almost all of these have been on TBRs before or in other videos because I really want to read them. And another sort of like weird bookish motivational thing. A lot of these books I've been putting off because I'm really excited for them. And so I do that weird thing that I think a lot of people do, so maybe it's not that weird, where I put it off because I'm like, oh, I don't want the excitement to go away, or I don't want the reading it for the first time. Like I can never do that again, so I'm just going to keep putting it off. I'm not doing that anymore because life is too short and I want to get through the books that I really want to read, and more books keep coming out that I really want to read. And so it's just not working. So a lot of these books I've been putting off for a long time because I'm really excited for them. So we'll see how this goes. The first one that I've definitely talked about in other videos is Something Wilder by Christina Lauren. I've done 2 of these so far. I've done it for Emily Henry and Ali Hazelwood. I'm trying to go through and read authors' either most popular books or read all of their books. For Christina Lauren, I'm trying to read all of their like newer books and most popular books so that I can make a video about them, because Christina and Lauren, because it's a writing duo, are two of my favorite authors. I really, really love their books and their stories. So I'm trying to make my way through them. I think, is this the only one on here? It is. It's the only one on here, but I probably will also read Love in Other Words, but I don't know. It depends on availability of audio. I really want to read them physical. I'm kind of in an audio slump recently. I've really been enjoying reading things physical. So that kind of slows down my reading a little bit, but I'm enjoying it a lot more, which is the point. So all I know about this, even though I've spoke about this in many videos, is that it is sort of like a treasure hunting romance novel. Like these 2 people fall in love through sort of treasure hunting. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely missing the mark, but I want to read it. So there you go. The next book, I know you guys know what it's about, and you've probably seen it everywhere, and you've heard me say I'm going to read it a billion times, but that is It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. This is about this girl right here. What is her name? Piper. And this guy, what's his name? Brendan. So Piper is from a big city, and as a punishment from her dad, she gets sent to this like seaside town, I think in Maine, which love that setting. And he's a fisherman, and she's like, you know, city girl things. And so they're like very much opposites. I think it's enemies to lovers sort of thing. But I'm really going into this because people either really loved this book or really hated it. And I actually really like Tessa Bailey. People really complain about Tessa Bailey's like intimate scenes. If you guys listen to any of my videos before, I go on rants all the time about how we should not criticize authors' views of intimacy and sex. Because even though we might think it's cringy, we should keep in mind that it's coming from their brain. And I think that that's such a sensitive topic that I just don't love when people rag on that. So I go into this looking forward to that and seeing like what Tessa Bailey can come up with. Some of the dialogue and ways that characters get together, though, I'm like, ugh, you know, whatever. But I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'll let you guys know what I think. I also have Hook, Line, and Sinker. So depending on how this goes, maybe I'll read that one next. The next one I'm so excited for. It is Two Wrongs Make a Right. I will say I'm mostly excited for this because I absolutely love this cover. And I bought this back in October when it came out, and I've just been putting it off only because I love this cover so much. I don't even really know what it's about. I'll read you guys sort of the tagline on the back. It says, opposites become allies to fool their matchmaking friends in this swoony reimagining of Shakespeare's beloved comedy, Much Ado About Nothing, which I know nothing about that comedy. So there's a sequel coming out later this year too. I want to figure out what these 2 people are all about and why this cover is so cute. So I want to read it. Hopefully soon. The next book is In the Weeds by B.K. Borison. This is book 2 in the Love Light Farm series. I absolutely loved the Love Light Farm series. I like soaked it up. I bought some merch. I bought a like toboggan, or what would you people call a beanie from Love Light Farms. I absolutely love that book. So I want to carry on and see what the next characters get into. The 4th book is coming out later this year. This is the 2nd book, so I need to get caught up. I don't know what this is about either. Sorry. I just go into books not knowing much about them, but I can tell you guys that Love Light Farms was really, really good. So if you've been wondering if this is a series that you want to start, then I would recommend Love Light Farms. You don't have to read these in order, though it does seem like there are some mentions of other characters. And if you don't want to be spoiled at all for that, then I would read them in order. I'm reading them in order, so we'll see what the next characters get into. But I recommend Love Light Farms if you've been on the fence about it. The next book, The Mistake, this has definitely been in so many videos because I loved the deal when I read it last year. This is a hockey sports romance that takes place at I think, is it at Briar U? I get confused because the other series is called Briar-U, but I think that they all take place at Briar-U. Anyways, there's a billion books in this hockey series, and she just announced a spinoff series where these characters throughout these books some are like parents, I think, something like that. So I loved the deal, and I need to read this one. It's book 2. People say this is their least favorite, so I just need to get through it. My best friend Neve loves the third book and has been on me to read it, so I need to read the second one in order to read the third one, although you don't technically have to read them in order. It's a romance series. You guys already know this. So I don't know. I know nothing about this book except for, I think, he's a player in more than one ways. Now he's going to need to up his game. Yeah, I think there was like a one-night stand previously. I think this is a second chance. Those of you who have read it might be like you're way missing the mark. But here's my thing about this book. This is the book that I considered actually taking to the beach and reading because I want to read it soon. But like, I don't know. I don't want people to judge me. So I don't know. Stay tuned. Find out if I ended up reading this on the beach or not. I don't actually know how much reading I'm going to do on the beach, but okay. That concludes the romance ones. So I'll show you guys these if I can without dropping. These are the romance ones. So that's exciting. Now let's get into the fantasy ones because I've been reading a lot of fantasy recently. Let's start with the most obvious one. I recently finished the 4th Mistborn book. So obviously I'm on the 5th, which is actually the second book in Era 2. I can't really tell you anything about this book except read them. I've been trying to get everybody I know, people who read and people who don't read, the people at the grocery store, anybody, to read Brandon Sanderson. I am doing a read-along of Brandon Sanderson's books on my Discord, so if you've been looking with someone to read them with, there's a bunch of us reading them over in the Discord. If you would love to join, it's linked in the description box below, which reminds me, today, actually, when this video is going up, our readathon starts, so if you want more information about the readathon, it's based on, like, arcade games. It's linked in the description box below. You can also go to Discord for that as well. I meant to mention this, typical ADHD fashion. These books are not planned based on that readathon, though I will be trying to fit them into the readathon. I didn't want to make my TBR based off the readathon because I didn't want to put myself in a slump, but I figured I could figure my way through it and put books in there for the readathon. But I mostly wanted to create a space for other people, see what everyone else is reading. It's a great place, even if you don't want to participate, to watch what other people are reading and what they picked for the prompts. And yeah, anyways, back to the regular scheduled programming. Book 5 in Mistborn overall, book 2 in Era 2. I can't really tell you guys that much about it, except for you really should be reading Mistborn. Brandon Sanderson is one of my favorite authors, if not my favorite author. I have a lanyard, like on my keys, that says Mistborn. For my birthday, I was gifted some merch from Mistborn. It's my whole personality, and this whole summer, I will be making my way through and making videos based off these books. So, yes. This next book, y'all. The next 2 books have been in so many videos, and then the last 2 books, you guys, one book you'll be like, oh, okay, and the last book's probably going to be a surprise because it was a surprise for Casey that I wanted to read this book. So if you're still watching, there's a little surprise at the end. Divine Rivals. I've talked about this 150 billion times. This is a YA fantasy novel about, I always forget what it's actually about. This is so embarrassing. It's about journalism. These 2 people have a magical connection. Their fate depends on their facing the depths of hell together. An epic enemies to lovers fantasy novel filled with hope and heartbreak and the unparalleled power of love. There's a bunch of letters being written in this. I love that. I love when letters are in books, which is what drew me to this one. Stay tuned to find out if this book and all these books live up to the hype. But very excited for this one, and I have been, so it's time that I read it. This next book has been everywhere. So before I got rid of Instagram, I saw Fourth Wing all over Instagram. I hear everybody talking about it. It's all over Goodreads. Like every time I scroll through Goodreads, someone's reading or reviewing this book. I went to Barnes & Noble the other day. I was talking to some of the people they work there. They were like, we cannot keep this book in stock. This is about a dragon rider school. Everyone is saying the romance is really good. I just need to read it. And look at these edges. Yeah, I need to read this book. It will happen sometime soon so that I can review it for you guys and let you know if I think it lives up to the hype or not. We'll see. It makes me a little nervous when books get hyped up this much. So hopefully it does live up to the hype, but we will see. Probably my most anticipated fantasy book of the year, which I've been putting off because of that, is this next one. It's called The Book That Wouldn't Burn. It's basically like if you read Strange the Dreamer or know anything about Strange the Dreamer, which I absolutely loved and need to read the sequel to really bad, that'll probably happen next month because I really, really need to get into that sequel and I want to. Anyways, this is basically like the adult version of that, although Strange the Dreamer is not like super YA, but this is about like two characters that like nobody really knew about and they're connected through this library. Yeah, the world has never known. I'll just read you guys the synopsis because it's really quick and I really want other people to be excited about this as well. Two strangers find themselves connected by a vast and mysterious library containing many wonders and still more secrets in this powerfully moving first book in a new series from International Blah Blah. The boy has lived his whole life trapped within a book-choked chamber older than empires and larger than cities. The girl has spent hers in a tiny settlement out in the dust where nightmares stalk and no one goes. The world has never noticed them. That's about to change. Their stories spiral each other across worlds and time. This is a tale of truth and lies and hearts in the blurring of one into another, a journey on which knowledge erodes certainty and on which, though the pen may be mightier than the sword, blood will be spilled and cities burned. I want to read this. Yes, plot twist. Okay, this next book is probably not going to be that much of a surprise, but the last book I think probably will be. So, for the fantasy book club that I am in, this last month we read Jade City. So we're going to be reading Jade War. I absolutely loved Jade City. It was everything I thought it was going to be and more. I will do a series review of the books once I complete the series. There's one more book left after this one. This is a chunky one though. Casey also really loved Jade City. Everybody in the book club loved it. So it was really cool to experience together. So I'm very excited to move into Jade War coming up next. And the last book that is sort of a surprise, if you guys might not know this, but I always thought I would never read The Lord of the Rings. The more I get into fantasy and the more I learned that like modern fantasy really was inspired by a lot of The Lord of the Rings, I'm like, I really should probably go back and read them. So I'm going to start with The Hobbit because people say that this is a little bit easier to understand. It's a little bit easier to get into. I have not a clue what this is about. All I know is that people are obsessed with The Lord of the Rings and I want to get onto the hype train. There's video games that I want to play based on it. I've never seen the movie, so I want to watch the movies. I think there's like probably TV shows. There's merchandise, like all the things that I could get excited and hyped and brought into, I want to happen. So I'm going to start with The Hobbit. This might also be one that I bring on vacation. I don't know, y'all. We'll see. But yeah. Those are all the books that I hope to read in the next month and a week. I'm sure I won't get to all of them. I'm sure there'll be things that I change up and switch up, but this is what's really been on my mind, not just in the last day or week or month. Like these are books that I've wanted to get to for a long time. It's time to bite the bullet, get the excitement over with, experience it and live it, and I'll let you guys know about it. Let me know in the comments below what you plan to read in the next week, in a month, or whenever you see this video. I would love to know what you're really excited about. I would challenge you to pick a book on your shelf that you've been putting off because you're really excited and read the book and let us know how you like it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.